All right, let's jump right into this. Today, we're looking at something highly structural and absolutely crucial for anyone navigating the FAST method. We are exploring the foundations track. Think of this explainer not just as a quick overview, but as a literal architectural blueprint. We're going to examine the exact load-bearing pillars of a system that's specifically designed to ensure absolutely nobody gets left behind, and that the entire structure stays completely unified. So, let's dive right into the blueprint. We've got 6 foundational phases on the agenda for today. We'll start with the progression architecture, then look at who the track serves, and walk through the 5-step continuity pathway. After that, we'll dive into preserving system integrity, lay out the progression access requirements, and finally wrap it all up with the core philosophy, architecture, not punishment. Let's get to it. Kicking things off with Section 1, the progression architecture, and how we are completely reframing continuity. Look, we need to address the psychological elephant in the room right off the bat. When you're moving through a highly structured program, falling out of sync, well, it can kind of feel like a failure. But in the FAST method, we're entirely reframing that. Falling out of sync is not a failure. It's an expected structural variable. Because, life happens. Schedules shift. So I want you to really hear this core principle. The foundations track is not punishment. It is part of the progression architecture. We've literally got to strip away any of that stigma you might have about taking a step back or reviewing. This system isn't here to penalize you. It exists for responsible, intentional advancement, built on the simple fact that true progress requires a rock-solid footing. So, by definition, the foundations track is a structured continuity system. It gives targeted access to participants to guarantee they're perfectly aligned within what's known as the understructure. Now, I know the understructure sounds a bit heavy, but just think of it as the fundamental foundation of a massive building. This setup brilliantly illustrates that continuity itself actually is progression. It acts as this absolutely vital safety mechanism to keep the entire structure standing tall. Think about it. If a pillar in a building starts to wobble, you don't tear down the whole building, right? No, you reinforce the pillar. Which brings us right into Section 2, who the track serves and how it accommodates real-world variables. Let's look at the specific individuals this track is explicitly built to support. Because honestly, any system is really only as good as its ability to handle real-world variables. So who does this actually serve? Well, maybe you completely missed a fast cycle because of some unexpected scheduling conflict. Or maybe you started one and had to withdraw halfway through. Or, and this is super common, maybe you finished a cycle but you just want to redo it to get a deeper recognition and mastery of the material. The system anticipates all of this human unpredictability. It gives you a clear, structured path back so you can maintain your progression, pacing, and alignment without missing a single beat. Moving right along to Section 3, let's look at the actual mechanics here. The 5-step continuity pathway, or the scaffolding. All right, now we arrive at the core scaffolding. This is where theory turns into practice. It's a highly methodical sequence, built to ensure absolutely nobody loses their pacing or gets lost in the shuffle of reentry. The architectural schematic of the understructure visually maps out this exact journey. It really proves just how meticulously guided this whole process is. You aren't just tossed back into the mix and told to figure it out. You are routed through a highly specific, engineered pathway. Let's actually slow down for a second and appreciate how these 5 steps safely and steadily guide you. Step 1 is access, simply entering the track to get to that specific cycle you missed or want to redo. Step 2 is guided continuity, where you follow a structured path to maintain alignment and make sure you're fully grasping the material. Step 3 is complete and align. That's where you finish the cycle and lock back in with the current teaching structure. Step 4 is progression alignment, which is basically a verification stage to ensure you're meeting all the structural requirements. And finally, Step 5, return to progression. You step right back into the active pathway with total absolute clarity. And that brings us right back to our central thesis. You really need to internalize this. Continuity is progression. The foundations track is absolutely not a setback. Maintaining your momentum, preserving the actual meaning of the work, that is the literal definition of moving forward in this ecosystem. Taking the time to build your foundation properly, that is the ultimate form of progression. Let's zoom out and look at the macro view in Section 4, preserving system integrity and the load-bearing pillars. Beyond your own individual journey, we have to look at what this continuity pathway does for the structural integrity of the entire FAST method ecosystem. Why is this so strictly enforced? Well, it all comes down to protecting the ecosystem itself. By offering this structured continuity and guided revisitation, the track provides alignment preservation. It's protecting the shared language, the pacing, and the structural clarity for everybody. Think about it. System integrity means guaranteeing that all participants are moving forward with the exact same solid foundation. If everyone is speaking the same language and operating from the exact same baseline of understanding, the entire community thrives. It's a game changer. Okay, Section 5. Let's talk about the progression access requirements, or as I like to call them, the keys to the gates. So, adhering to these structural requirements isn't just about, avoiding a shaky foundation. It actually yields tangible rewards. Specifically, this comes into play when we're talking about accessing those gated progression areas within the system. And the math here is super simple. Unlocking these gates requires exactly two successfully completed milestones. Requirement 1, you got to successfully complete Fast Level 3, and Requirement 2, you need to complete at least one additional Fast cycle. That's it. Complete Fast 3, add one more cycle, and boom, you get the keys. And what exactly do those keys unlock? Gated access. Fulfilling those prerequisites proves you've got the structural stability required to safely unlock deeper, structured progression within the understructure. Those gates aren't there to hold you back or keep you out. They're simply there to ensure you don't walk into a room you aren't structurally prepared to handle. And finally, Section 6, our capstone, architecture, not punishment. As we wrap up this review of the Foundations track, we absolutely must return to the governing philosophy behind this whole design. The Foundations track is your ultimate guarantor that you are truly, deeply prepared. It exists purely to preserve clarity, pacing, and intentional advancement. It ensures that every single participant is aligned and ready for deeper progression, with zero gaps in their knowledge. It's an incredible safety net woven entirely out of discipline and intention. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. When life inevitably introduces variables, or when you simply realize you need a deeper understanding of the material, how are you going to respond? Will you respect the structural integrity of your own path and embrace continuity as your most powerful engine for progression? Utilizing the architectural safety nets of the FAST method is absolutely not taking a step back. It is the most disciplined, intentional way to truly advance. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep building and stay aligned.